I've known about all this, and so, I know we put out a statement. Kid has been truthful with us, and we're good.
He's facing potentially a third NFL suspension. We don't know what's going to happen, obviously, but that's a possibility. Does this seem like a step back for him, or is there something that's not connecting with him as far as the growth that you guys have talked about?
No, I mean, look, I know that it certainly doesn't look good. I get that, but at the same token, it's just, it kind of all came on here at the same time, and it's really decision making, for him, and and that's where he knows he can be better. Don't put yourself in those situations. He's going to learn from this, grow from it. We've talked about it. And I still think there's been a ton of growth out of this player.
You talked about, last week, losing his grip on the rope, but it's still there for him. We've talked about, extending a hand down, but you're not there to, guide him necessarily all the way. Do you think he understands? Does he appreciate, just your perspective, does he appreciate how quickly his football career can end? Do you think he understands that and appreciates it? You communicated that to him?
I think he does. I think he's become more and more aware of that over time, and I think he does. And look, for me, man, I judge people over what's in their heart, and I know what this kid's made of, and and he's worth hanging with. And so, he's going to learn from this. He's going to grow. He'll be better for all this.
Where you guys are, where you guys want to go, certainly he could help you on the field, but is this just an unnecessary distraction? I know you talk about focus all the time, but is this just not really exactly what you want to be dealing with? And the players are going to be asked about it. It's an issue now for the whole team.
Yeah, no, you'd rather not be dealing with it, and you don't want the players to have to deal with it. But I think at the same token, it's I really do feel like for us and the players, it's a little bit of a non-issue because he's not here. I mean, he's in the building and he's doing what he can. But we also know we didn't have him last week. We're prepared not to have him. We're prepared not to have him this week, and that's just kind of how we roll. Really no different than, unfortunately, a guy who's injured, he's not going to play, he's going to be out. Then, man, we're about the guys who are going to play and getting them ready to go, and we don't bat an eye. How are those guys going to help us win the next game? And so I do feel like that's where we're at as a team. So I'm not no, I'd rather not answer them, but at the same token, I don't feel like this is a big distraction.
The details that he told you, how did they match up with what's
going on? They all lined up.
And there's a common thread with his, three things. It's just not knowing the details or not following the details. And, what do you do as an organization, I guess, to just make sure he's on his P's and Q's with not just football, but life?
Yeah, you continue to coach him up on it, teach him, and let him know, it's a different environment, and you got to understand that, you're looked at different, and you're viewed different, and anybody else out there, something happens, nobody even knows about it. It doesn't, whereas, man, they're looking, and any little thing can turn into a huge thing here. So you just got to do your best to stay out of those situations where something like this doesn't come up.
Coach, transitioning to the football side, last 4 games, y'all scored 172 points. And in the Green Bay, how do you keep up that type of production? Obviously, it's tough to score that any game, but just that sort of production in the groove that you guys are in, how do you guys keep that going forward in the Green Bay?
Well, details, man. The details to what we do are important and really on all 3 phases, and that's where we've been pretty good. But offensively, certainly, man, that's where it begins. The effort that we're having, the production downfield, the guys that are blocking downfield for their teammates, like all of those things play into it. And so if those things start to slip, that's where you can get in trouble. Let me say this. This is a very good opponent. All right. Matt's done a hell of a job, continues to do a hell of a job. I think Jeff Hafley's a hell of a coach. I've known him for a little while now, but I think this defense is humming. Kenny Clark, I think, is an outstanding player. We know about Gary. I mean, I can go across the board. McKinney, Quay Walker, Alexander. I mean, they got players, and they're playing hard defensively. So it's a damn good defense, and we've kind of hit this patch of some really good defenses. And this is going to be no different. And over there offensively, man, they can control the clock. Jacobs he's a factor, man. This is a real dude. And then they've got really 6 receivers over there, and with Love pulling the trigger, and a gritty offensive line, they come off the ball. Tight ends playing well. So look, this is going to be this is a hell of a matchup. I mean, this is two big-time programs going at it at their place, and I'm looking forward to it. I know our guys are looking forward to it, but details, man, we got to be on the little things.
You were in the market for a backup quarterback.
Thanks.
You were in the market for a backup quarterback a few years ago. Got a real nice up-close look at the Senior Bowl at Malik. Didn't really catch on in Tennessee, but he's kept them afloat in the NFC North race here. When you look at his film, you might see him this week. When you look at his film, where is he excelling? How much of that matches with what you saw potential-wise down in Mobile?
Yeah, scrambling. Man, he's a dangerous scrambler. That is where it begins for him. His ability to generate explosives, getting out of the pocket and taking off, man, that's where he's extremely dangerous. And to your point, they're at the end of the game, Jacksonville, man, they run the little sneaky out the backside to 11, who I think is arguably their best receiver. This guy's a playmaking dude, but finds him for a huge credit. I mean, that won the game. That one play right there did it, and the rest of it was just to end it out before the field goal. But it all starts with his legs. Very, very dangerous runner, very good athlete. And so we'll be ready for whatever comes our way defensively.
So how is it different with one guy in there versus the other, if at all?
It's a little different, but they're going to lean on what they do well. They're not going to go away from that. That's kind of your bread and butter. That's your identity, and I think we're going to get, there'll be some wrinkles to it, but I think we have a pretty good idea of what we're going to get no matter who's in there. And they're both very good athletes. They both can run. They can both create issues in the pocket. Certainly Love as a passer and he does a great job of eyes downfield, giving his receivers a chance to make a play on the ball. He's just really grown and elevated since last year. I know there's been a few picks in there, but there's these other parts of his game playing the quarterback position that have really elevated, and so he's a top-notch dude.
Talk all the time about the turnovers, third down, and red zone being so key to win and losing football games. You rank in the top 10 both offensively and defensively in all 3 categories. Can you speak to the way your guys have responded to kind of those 3 points of emphasis on both sides of the ball?
Yeah, we've done a good job of emphasizing and working it, and we're constantly coaching it up. We those are things we look at the next day in practice. We talk about, and you have to make an emphasis, and you have to have an urgency about yourself doing it and showing it. And it's why Meek got those 2 out last week. I mean, that takes effort. It takes detail. It takes effort. It takes, a conscious effort to do it. So. And same thing with ball security. We've been really good, man. We coach the hell out of it. We talk about it. Anybody's carrying it, even if it's a great run, it's a great play, man. We show it. I mean, Scotty gets up there and shows the offense. Man, it's a great run. Look at this. Ball is just flopping, and somebody's going to run behind with one finger and knock it out. So we're just constantly coaching it up, talking about it, and it's paying big dividends right now. I think we're plus 10 in the turnover ratio. It's huge. It's one of the reasons we're winning. It's one of the reasons why everybody in our division is winning, because we're all really good turnover ratio right now, all 4 teams.
We've obviously focused on the pass rush aspect of your edge rushing situation, but there's a run game element to it as well. It seems like a lot of the runs you've given up bigger runs in the last 2 games, have been against, on the edges. How big is that concern as you move forward, given, the last 2 games, I think, were the most rush yards you've given up in games this season?
Yeah, I mean, it's something that we take note of. And we know that, we're going to put in a good day's work there in the middle with our guys. And we got to be able to attack the perimeter, set edges, and let our backers flow and make plays. So, right now we keep hitting it up, and we'll be padding up tomorrow. We'll be bringing it, and that's the best way. You want to get better at it, you want to work on it, you got to work on it full speed, just like a game situation, and get some live reps at it. So we're going to keep doing that because we know teams are going to keep attacking us that way.
You've played an opportunistic defense already when it comes to turnovers in Minnesota, but Green Bay leads the league in takeaways. How do they attack offenses from what you've been able to see?
Well, they're really good. Look, they're disruptive. They've changed their style from what they were last year, and it is more attack style. And these guys are up the field, and they cause a lot of disruption. They have, that's one element to it. The other is they got players, man, that can do that. Like I say, Kenny, he's a force in the middle, and Gary humming off the edge. They've got really a 2-deep rotation, a D line that are pretty damn good. And so that's one element of it. And then when you've got a guy like McKinney who's, he's instinctive, really good ball skills, can see it, feel it. He's got 6 picks right now. So you get in the quarterback's face and cause him to make a throw he shouldn't, and it's just a little bit off. But that guy's going to make you pay, And we already talked about what they got on the back end. Jair is pretty good. He can lock down guys. And then they're getting some of these punch outs too. They're making active effort to go after the football, and they are an opportunistic defense. This thing's gonna come down to one critical error. It's gonna go down to the fourth quarter, the very end. Whoever makes one error is gonna lose this game.
Practicing today, Dan?
Pascal won't practice. Trying to think of who else. I'm gonna hold some guys out today just for recovery. Rodrigo will not practice today. TBD. Yeah, TBD. Okay.